Hi everyone, my name is Ozzy and welcome to Football Talk Podcast. Now today, even though it's not transfer season or anything of that nature, there has been some interesting rumors circulating for the past 24/48 hours. So I thought, why not do a show where we discuss some of these rumors and see how it aligns with the upcoming future in terms of maybe a swoop happening in the January window or maybe next summer, something to get our minds off the recent results in regards to Liverpool losing back-to-back games. So let's discuss the first topic, and that is regarding Semenyo. Now, the current rumor that came out today was that um, he's apparently available for £75 million. I saw 100 million quoted, but that was in dollars, so not in pounds. But apparently, there's a number of clubs interested. The likes of Chelsea are apparently ready in a bid of 90 million euros, which is around 75 million, for the Bournemouth attacker. After his electric start to the season, he's been directly involved in 9 goals in 8 games for Bournemouth this season, so he's definitely in great form so far this season. So my thoughts on the rumor in terms of the player, I do rate Semenyo. I think he's a very talented player, a player that can play on the left wing, on the right wing, but play very effectively. Because there's a lot of players where they're normally one-sided. So if they're a right-footed winger, for example, they tend to like to play on the left because they can cut in and shoot. Whereas with Semenyo, even though he's a naturally right-footed player, when he plays on the right-hand side, he actually cuts in and has a great left foot shot on him as well. So for me, he's a great profile, an interesting profile going forward. I'll be honest with you, if we were to sign Semenyo, I don't think he'd be a starter in our team, but he would definitely, challenge the likes of Gakpo for a starting position. And a good thing with Semenyo is that he covers different positions. He covers the left wing, the right wing, can also play up top if required. So for me, he would be a good option. I think he was looked at by the club during the summer. I think the price tag may have put us off a little bit. £75 million was the reported fee in the summer as well. I do feel like that's a little bit steep, especially if, in my eyes, we're not really going to see him as a first team starter. He's not going to replace or displace anyone in the team. So therefore, it's a lot of money for that type of player. However, looking at the squad, I do feel like there is a gap in regards to our attackers. We've got Gakpo on the left. On paper, you'll have Rio as his direct sort of backup, and then on the right hand side, you've got Salah and you've got Chiesa. But looking at our squad, even though Chiesa can play on that right hand side, I would prefer Chiesa to be the backup for Gakpo because I feel like Chiesa plays better from that wing, which we saw quite recently against Southampton. Whereas when you have a player like Semenyo, he can cover both wings very, very effectively. So a profile that is definitely interesting. But if I'm being brutally honest, I don't see us pursuing the player anytime soon. I don't think the attack is a position that we will try and strengthen anytime soon. It might be revisited next summer if someone like Chiesa, for example, departs. And I'm not saying I want him to depart or anything like that, but I do feel like the coach doesn't really favor the player. So maybe this will be the season where he tries to have an impact, and if it doesn't work out, he moves on after the World Cup. So for me, a good player in terms of Semenyo being the profile that we could look at in the future. At that price, I feel like it's a little bit steep, if I'm being honest with you. So drop a comment, let me know if this is the type of player that you would like us to sign going forward, and if he fits the bill. 75 million, is it too high, or is it the right valuation in this market? Drop a comment and let me know your thoughts. Now, moving on, it's not a transfer show without me mentioning Marc Guehi or anything relating to the defender. And right now, there's a lot of rumors circulating, and it's not regarding Liverpool. It's actually him being linked with moves to the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, and more strongly in the last couple of days, Bayern Munich. So apparently, according to reports, Bayern Munich have held talks with Marc Guehi. They see him as the perfect replacement for Kim Min-jae should the defender decide to leave next summer. Of course, there's another player that could be leaving is Upamecano, but I read something today that he could be on the verge of signing a new contract, so he might be a direct replacement for Kim Min Jae more than Upamecano. So the big question is, does this mean Liverpool are out of the running and have they accepted defeat in the race to sign Marc Guehi? I'm not quite so sure. It's a bit of a strange one because, of course, we had that deal on the last window where it was pretty much wrapped up. If it wasn't for Steve Parish and his pre-booked Pilates class, it would have been a different matter altogether. But when those kind of moves fail to materialize, you always feel like it's going to be revisited in the next window. And in fact, I was really hoping that was going to be the case, and I was expecting us to go with a lesser bid. I wasn't expecting us to bid anything near the £35 million that was agreed in the summer, due to the fact that he's got 6 months left when it comes to January. But there are a lot of clubs that are interested. You've got the likes of Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Real Madrid, and apparently Real Madrid have been showing the strongest interest, which is a bit conflicting in my eyes because I thought they were trying to pursue Canate. So if they were trying to get two defenders, that's another ball game, and on a free transfer, which it would be annoying if that was to occur. But in terms of Marc Guehi, I don't know what it is. I still feel like we're in the pursuit to sign the defender, and I'm expecting us to try and get the player over the line in the January window. Maybe I'm sounding hopeful because that's what I want. Um, but with these rumors, you've got to always take it with a pinch of salt. The Bayern Munich stories, they're all coming from Germany in terms of the links to the Barcelona and your rumors, they're coming from Spain. In England, we're getting a bit of a mix. We're still hearing that Liverpool want to, you know, revisit the transfer again in the next few months. So only time will tell, if there's any genuine interest from other clubs. I do feel like clubs will try to sign him because of his quality. And, looking at the Real Madrid and the Barcelona team, there are gaps in their squad where maybe they need to find replacements. For example, Rudiger is on his last year of his contract. He's expected to go to Saudi next year. So maybe that's the direct replacement for them in terms of signing Marc Guehi for Bayern, as I mentioned, for Makano or Kim Min Jae. So, those are two players that, he could be replacing. So, yeah, there's a lot of clubs that are after a quality centre back, and Liverpool are no different. So, I'm hoping Liverpool can get Marc Guehi over the line in the January window because for us, we are very, very desperate to add another centre back to our ranks. I'm hoping it's the English centre back that will come through the door in the I was gonna say 1st of January, maybe I'm being optimistic, but in the January window. So let's see what happens. But these rumors circulating in regards to other clubs showing interest, no huge surprise, going to continue once we get clarification of what his stance is in terms of his next move. Now on to the next player. It's Ousmane Diomande. So apparently Liverpool are seriously considering a move for the Sporting centre back Ousmane Diomande, who has been identified via the club's data profiling systems, what we want to call it, as a perfect fit for slot system. So my thoughts on the rumor regarding Diomande to Liverpool, it's not a huge surprise to me. I've been speaking about Diomande for months, maybe even a year. I've been speaking about him for quite a while. I do feel like he's the right profile for us going forward. I see him being quite similar in terms of the profile of an Ibu Konate, although I would say he's probably a better passer of the ball than the French defender. But he's a player, 21, 22 years of age, um, has shown his versatility, has played in a back three, back four, and he has even played as a DM, has done a really good job. So he's a very interesting profile. Was very strongly linked to a move to Crystal Palace, ironically, over the summer. But because Mark Gay never ended up making a move, maybe they didn't pursue the defender. Um, wouldn't it be nice, if we could get Mark Gay and Diomande, you know, kind of do what we did with in Newcastle, where we took their primary target and then we also, stole their main striker off their hands as well. So maybe we can do that and return the favor to Crystal Palace, where we take their prime target into the centre back positions in Diomande, but also take their captain in Mark Guehi. So hopefully Liverpool can make that happen. But I do like the profile of Diomande. I think he would be a good addition to the squad. question marks would be, is he coming in as an alternative for Marc Guehi because we're not pursuing it any further, or is he coming in to be a direct replacement for Konate, who looks like he could be joining Real Madrid next summer? So, that would be the question in terms of, what is the agenda in regards to his move. But right now, very early in terms of any move happening. I don't see it being a January move. Maybe it's a player we try to target next summer. Speaking of Ibu Konate, don't worry, it's not a transfer update as such. Um, if you will remember, he did pick up an injury in his last game. So the current news is that he has or is set to join the French national team during the international break. Um, in regards to improving his fitness levels, he's expected to participate in training with the French squad later this week. Although there's no sort of confirmation if he'll be playing in any of the upcoming games. But he is expected to return to the club 19th of October, so in line to play our returning fixture, which is of course against Manchester United. So positive, that he's not, suffered any long-term injury or anything of that nature, because if that was the case, we'd be in a terrible position, not having too many centre back options at the club. So for me, it's positive news, but not entirely positive because he's not at the club. He's on international duty. So if he was to pick up an injury in training, or if he played for the French national team and picked up an injury, then that would just ruin the mood altogether. So hopefully, it's just training and he's taking it lightly, and he comes back after international break fit and ready to help Liverpool regain some form and get some wins under the belt. So hopefully that can happen in the coming weeks. Uh, and finally, last rumor today is regarding Adam Wharton. Now, no surprise in terms of the Premier League champion in Liverpool being interested in the centre midfielder. But the update today we got is that Crystal Palace are planning to offer Adam Wharton improved terms and a potential release clause, as Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City, and Real Madrid have showed continued interest in signing the midfielder. My thoughts on that, I'm not surprised from Crystal Palace to suggest that, because there is a lot of eyes on Alan Wharton. He's had a fantastic start to the season, and let's be honest, he does look like a special talent. So for me, he should probably be regarded as one of our prime targets for next summer. A player that can definitely add quality to our squad. So adding, giving a new contract, will of course, add more digits to the transfer fee, but if you had a release clause, it makes it even a little bit more trickier for that deal to be concluded. So um, it's I understand Crystal Palace's point of view, but I feel like the player will end up leaving. It's just only a matter of time. I actually think next summer will be the time that he leaves. Whether it's Liverpool or not, I'm not quite so sure, but I do feel like I feel like he was always on the verge of leaving the summer gone, but because of Palace's inclusion to the Conference League, probably the right time for him to stay there, where he can gain valuable experience playing European football, and going forward, can become a more adequate sort of quality player when he joins a big club. Because when you join a big club, you have to kind of work your way up to the first team. You're not going to get a free pass to the starting lineup unless you are a special player. Even though I do feel like he's very talented, I do feel like he would need to earn his stripes in order to displace either McAllister or groundwork in the team. So for me, he's a very interesting profile, deep playmaker, but can definitely uh, you know intercept, tackle, and be aggressive against the opposition. Tall guy as well. So in terms of physique and his athleticism, he's definitely got that in his locker. So for me, he would be a great addition to our squad, the right profile that we should be looking at. So hopefully, it's a player that we can try and sign next summer. But yeah, only time will tell in terms of, is he a genuine target, or is this all paper talk? I think he is a genuine target, but we'll just have to wait and see, how serious, how interested, and hopefully we don't have to do too much business next summer, because we did chop and change a lot in this past summer, and maybe that's impacted the way our season has panned out so far. So hopefully, it's just one or two free additions next season, and then we can take it from there. So just got a couple of comments there before we close the show. Says from Ozzy comment says, "Yo, Ozzy, I absolutely love, despise our whole international break." Yeah, it feels weird. When the international breaks in because we're so used to so many games. It's not even just the Premier League. We're used to Carabao Cup matches, we're used to Champions League matches now. So yeah, it feels very, very quiet. Even just going onto YouTube, not a lot of shows coming. That's why I thought let me just do a random impromptu show today. A few things I saw circling in terms of potential transfers. So I thought why not have a discussion about it. Um, but yeah. Uh, just got a few more comments here. Other comments. Do you think Slot will turn things around, or is he on a snowball downhill spiral? I think he will turn it around. I know there's a lot of emphasis in terms of Slot's impact so far this season. People already questioning his credentials as a coach. I think it's slightly overboard. There's a lot of things he has to look at. So, number one, we've sold a lot of players and we've brought in a lot of players. So, therefore, it will take time for these players to gel. And I'm not making an excuse for our sort of recent defeats or anything of that nature, but it is a reality. You have to consider the different dynamics in the team now. We're still trying to form relationships on the pitch, so that hasn't quite worked to plan. And, you know, let's speak from a more human side as well. The tragic loss of Diogo Jota, has had a huge impact on the squad. Whether, people want to use that as an excuse or not, it's a reality. Everyone grieves in their certain ways. And he looked like a character that was, you know, mates with everyone. So he was a very friendly individual. And I feel like when you're at that kind of atmosphere where, players bond and have a lot of free times after training, all that sort of stuff, you feel he's lost a little bit more. So I feel like that's kind of gone like under the rug where people haven't really spoken about it. I do feel like it's affected the team in terms of their morale and their spirit a little bit as well. Um, but the best way to turn that around is, dedicate it to Jota this season. Dedicate the season to him, give it your all, and try and help the club win silver, but do it in his name and his honor. So that would be the way to go, in my opinion. But in terms of your question about Slot, I think it's only a matter of time. It's just, certain players just haven't clicked right now. Once they do, then I feel like the ball is going to go rolling. And rather than it being a snowball downhill spiral, I'm expecting it to be uphill. I'm expecting the team to progress going forward. So I still have faith in Arsenal. I'm not crashing out anytime soon. Um, I still feel like he's got credit in the bank in terms of what he achieved last season. So therefore, it's too premature to just crash out. And I know that has become the culture now with other clubs, but I don't think that is the way Liverpool run as a football club. So I think he will be given time to try and change things around and find the solution going forward. Do you think the core major players still trust in Slot? I think they do. The only one that may not, and I don't want to sound too negative when I say this, could be Mohamed Salah because I don't feel like the team is tailored to his skill set. I feel like we're changing our ways of playing, and that's because of the different dynamics on the team. So, for example, with when we had Trent, he would invert and then pretty much be the playmaker from a fullback position. We don't really have that type of player. Frimpong, is a different fullback in his own right. He's more attack minded, more about pace and width on that byline, and that's not something that Trent ever offered us going forward. So we've got a different dynamic in terms of how we're playing on that side of the pitch. And with Salah, I feel like he's not the focal point in terms of goals now because we've invested in Ekitike and Isak. I feel like those are the traditional goal scorers. in our system now. It mainly came through to Salah, but everything was played to him. But now you've got the likes of Isak, who's going to be a bit more direct up top. Whenever he's given a chance. So I feel like maybe Salah is frustrated more than not trusting Slot. Uh, but I feel like the players have still got faith in the coach. I've not seen anything to suggest that there's any sort of unrest or they've lost faith or Arsenal has lost the locker room altogether. I don't see that at all. I think that's us making assumptions more than anything else. But what I can say, one team that I feel like has lost the locker room is Nottingham Forest. I don't know if you saw the recent match where Ange Postecoglou was trying to clap towards the fans. Not one single player came over to say high five or hello to to Ange Postecoglou. So that's when you can see, and it's evident that the players don't have any trust in that manager, and he's not won a game since he's been appointed. So yeah, that's a Nottingham Forest issue in that matter. But for me, I don't think Stott has lost the dressing room, and he's still uh, pretty much the main coach, the main guy that I feel like will galvanize the squad and take them forward once again. So I still have faith that we will have a good season. This is just a little blip that we're going through, and it's only a matter of time that we can change our fortunes going forward. So that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Ozan Kabak, for your comments as always. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Now, ironically, all the players that I've mentioned today, I've actually made a note of them. I've made a short list of players that I'm going to try and target when I start my FC26 Manager Career Mode series coming up soon. So look out for that. I plan on doing it. Well, it's past midnight in the UK now, so I plan on doing it later today in terms of it being Wednesday. So we'll do the first episode of the Magic Career Mode. Fingers crossed that I don't embarrass myself because I don't get much time to practice. But I thought why not just make use of this international break, play a bit of FC26, and also make it interactive by allowing you guys to send your comments, whether it's about the actual FC26 gameplay, or if it's anything football related, we can have an open discussion during the show. So look out that for tomorrow. Should be live from about 10:30 p.m. So the best thing to do is hit that notification bell so you know exactly what time the live stream will begin. And yeah, make sure to join in. And yeah, should be fun going forward. Um, other kind of thing, we have to beat Man United at home. Aussie, it's a must. Yeah, it is a must. If we don't beat United, if we lose to them, which is even the thought of that, it is it's not thinkable. But unfortunately, we have to we have to say it out loud as well. Stoke will lose a lot of fans i- if that was the case because that's our arch rival, so it's going to be a bit more painful to take. But I'm hoping that it's a different team altogether, and then we've got a different focus and a different way of playing, and hopefully things can be back to normal in terms of going back to winning ways. So that's what I'm hoping going forward. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, stay safe, and I hope to speak with you all very, very soon. Goodbye.